This coverage of the British Historic Rally Championship is brought to you by Autosessif.com, Skipton Ford, the Tuthill Porsche Challenge, Sherwood Engines, XS Racing and West Wales Rally Spares. Although we mainly see Mark I and Mark II escorts in the Dunlop Monaco MSA British Historic Rally Championship, with many of them costing in the region of £50,000 to £70,000 to prepare, there are other cars competing which cost only a fraction of that, such as Terry Cree's BMW 2002, which got so close to taking a class victory on the Severn Valley Rally, and Richard Morgan's rare, if not unique, Porsche 914.
It was a couple of grand when I bought it, and then we probably spent another maybe £4-5 on it to get it to this state.
So it's not a lot of money at all. Really.
Oh no. Do I look like I've got a lot of money?
No, I mean it just goes to show you can build something unusual, decent, get classy performances now.
I wanted to do motorsport. I looked into how I can do rallying. I looked into moderns. I looked into micros and all this. I'm not being funny, but this is the cheapest I could find, and it's looking after an old car as well. So, it's cheap, really cheap to get into, cheapish, and you can look after the car yourself. Which is, I've come with me, my driver, and my dad, and that's it. That's the service crew. But you can do it with your mates and with a decent sort of budget. So. Happy with that, and we're not exactly fighting with the big boys, but we're punching above our weight is probably a good explanation.
So I wondered just how cheaply could we build our own unique car for the BHRC, and this is what I decided to build. It's an Alfetta GTV, bought off eBay for only £500, having been stood in a garage for about 20 years, and apparently being in reasonably good condition, especially for an early Alfa. But the truth of that would only be obvious as we stripped it. One of the things that could make this car quite special is a 2-litre twin-cam engine, from which we hope to get about 180 horsepower. The 2-litre engine, and the fact the car was built in 1981, means that this car will run in the D3 class. Stripping the car in the first place is a fairly tedious process, and it's important to make sure that things that you keep are labelled up correctly, and that you make sure that things that can be sold on eBay are kept in as good condition as possible, especially the interior, seats and carpets, etc. Underneath the carpets are the sound deadening panels, and we'll come back to them later. But so far, so good, and no obvious holes. We're replacing the windscreen because this one is quite scratched, and the car will be going to custom cages for a roll cage, so this will make it easier for them to get access. And with Rally School's Julie Lucas's Lombard RSC Rally Trabant in the background, we find the only obvious sign of rust in the car, but nothing that's a major problem. The car had a sunroof fitted, and we decided that the easiest thing to do was to cut it out, but the roof panel itself will be replaced as well, with many of the bits being sourced from Cheshire Alpha in Whitegate, another company that I found on eBay. So far I have sourced pistons, new and bigger brakes, anti-roll bars all through eBay, and 45 DCOE carbs to replace the 40s that are on the car as standard are coming from Formula 1000 organiser Tristan Dodd, who just happens to have a pair sitting in his garage somewhere, as you do. The engine incidentally is all alloy and proved extremely difficult to remove. It seems that the Alfa engineers and designers were more concerned with building a well-handling, powerful car than one that was easy to work on. The car is being built for me at John Goff's rallyschool.co.uk business in Whitchurch. A new recruit, Ryan, has been given the short straw of doing most of the work, which is pretty difficult when you haven't seen an Alfetta before, the car being older than the mechanic. One of the worst jobs in preparing a rally car is clearing the sound deadening panels from the bottom of the car. It takes forever. I've already done one little panel area there, which took 2 hours, believe it or not, and it's still left a layer, which I've got to clear off later on with a rag and petrol. But it's a horrible job, but it's got to be done. With the car up on a ramp now, we can see what it is that makes the Alfetta handle so well. The gearbox is at the rear of the car, to give the vehicle a better weight balance, It also has inboard brakes to cut down an unsprung weight, and a De Dion rear axle and torsion bar suspension at the front. But further dismantling still brings us no really bad news about the car's condition. Sure, it's a bit of a mess, but not as big a mess as it could have been.
Perfect, but not bad. This is the back of the torsion bar mountings, which mounts here and across there, and they go either side, front suspension. And then if you look right above your head, this is the De Dion rear axle, which mounts there and then spreads there, so it's one whole beam. And the beauty of all this system is that the car, when it goes up and down, doesn't get any bump steer, the camera doesn't change, anything like that. It's really, really clever, especially for a car which is 30 years old this month.
I'm hoping that by using eBay and other second-hand suppliers that I can keep the cost of the car down to below £10,000 while still building something that I can have a bit of fun in. And we just have to make sure that we build the car to the regulations, Group 2 in this car's case, and conform to the homologated specification as well. One area that I won't be skimming on though is the roll cage, as although historic rally car regulations are pretty strict when it comes to roll cage installation, I think that safety is the most important thing for anyone competing in motorsport. So I've delivered the car to Custom Cages in Daventry, where they will fit the best cage that they can for me within the regulations.
Explain the regulations. We can't have it fully welded in, but the cage itself can be welded.
The cage can be welded into the chassis, but you're only allowed to fix into 6 places as an historic.
Okay. So the cage itself would be like,
So it's an integral part of the shell, fully welded and welded into the chassis. So an integral part of the car.
Hopefully when you join us again next season, the car will be almost finished. This coverage of the British Historic Rally Championship is brought to you by Autosessif.com, Skipton Ford, the Tuthill Porsche Challenge, Sherwood Engines, XS Racing and West Wales Rally Spares.